Hi, I'm Mark, and I want to tell you the story about Glenn and the world's fastest race car. Back in the 50s, when I was young, the soapbox derby was very popular. And during those times, all the boys in my neighborhood were building cars. Well, Buddy Keelan and I also built a car. Instead of using lightweight pine, we made ours out of 2x12s and oak. Well, our car probably weighed about 400 pounds, so it wasn't going to go very fast. But we knew it was going to be the Cadillac of the neighborhood. Well, we were going to test it one day on 5th Street Hill. And I looked at Buddy and I said, Buddy, you get in the car. And he looked at me and said, no, I think maybe you should. We both scratched our heads and said, how about your little brother, Glenn? And I said, Glenn, it'd be perfect. Well, Glenn, being 4 years old, wouldn't know better. So we put him in the car and tied him across his lap with ropes and across his back onto the back of the seat. We had him insecure because we knew safety first. Well, then we took and we put a brick on a board so it would fall down on the wheel if he went too fast, and that would be our brakes. So we had everything figured out. Well, we pushed Glenn down the hill. Now this hill is very long and it's about a 22% grade. Well, we pushed him off and down he went. From Laramie, he went past Parallel, past the courthouse, past the high school. And here he came to Hutchinson Street. By that time, he was going so fast, Buddy and I couldn't chase him anymore. So we went home because we thought, Glenn can defend on his own. So we went and headed home, but Glenn kept going further and further down. He went past Santa Fe and got to Kansas Avenue, which is a major thoroughfare in Hutchinson, Kansas. Red light and all, Glenn went right through it. Not a car hit him. Whew, were we lucky. Well, then came Commercial Street. Now, Commercial Street's the main street in Hutchinson. No, not Main Street's not the main street. Commercial is. He went through Commercial, fortunately had a green light. But then he came to Main and up another red light. Nobody was coming and he went right through. He jumped the curb and kept going across the grass. And on the other side of that grass is the Missouri Pacific rail yard. Well, he's stuck on the tracks. He can't get out of his car. He's wiggling, he's screaming, he's crying. Yeah, 4 years old, he's crying. He could have been a real man. That's what we told him. But what did Glenn do? He was crying, and here came a train. Whistle blowing, blowing, and Glenn can't get out, and the train comes closer, and it got about this far from him and stopped. Glenn's crying. The engineer gets out and walks over and says, Glenn, what's wrong? You know how he knew his name? It was my Uncle Melvin. And Uncle Melvin untied my little brother and took him across the street to the Hutchinson Daily Globe where my father worked. And Glenn told my dad the story of what had happened. Well, my father brought Glenn home and the race car in pieces and decided to give me a nice talking to with a stick. And I learned one thing that day. Never build the world's fastest race car. But I will warn you, I did make the world's fastest merry-go-round.